Hi, I'm Danny. I just moved to Reno a month ago. Came from Las Vegas. Originally from New York. Left there 12 years ago. And I've been traveling around the country. That's kind of like my story. My hobby is just traveling.
And my grandfather was born in Indiana, and at about age 17, he enlisted in the Army to go to Cuba in the Spanish-American War. He wasn't legally 18, but he enlisted and lied and made it. And then he said, after it was over, he said, I'm not going back to Indiana. And they posted him in San Francisco at San Quentin Prison. And he was a guard at San Quentin in 1906. And when the earthquake struck, he was in the upper bunk and his roommate was in the lower bunk, and the guy in the lower bunk ran outside and a piece of tile fell on him and killed him. My grandfather stayed in bed, and hence, the story continued.
Anyway, about sundown or so, I noticed a couple of skunks start to come out of the woods, and then a couple of skunks came out of the concession area, and then a couple of the skunks came out from behind the bathroom, and pretty soon every campground in the whole place had their own little squadron of skunks.
Noticed that a lot of people had dogs, and I didn't have a dog, but I didn't want to do all the things that went along with having a dog for real. I just wanted to have a dog so I could go to the dog park all the time.
It's going like this. So I thought that they twisted it. So he hands me the chicken, I take it by the head and I take it by the feet, and I'm like, all right, I'm twisting it. And I'm totally removing myself from this animal, and the thing's squawking and moving all about, and I'm twisting its head, and I get it twice around. I swear to you, we have this on videotape. I get it twice around, I'm laughing, and I'm like, oh, this is so gross. And the guy's like, what's happening? I'm like, nothing. It's still alive. And I let it go, and it spins back around, and he grabs it, and the thing bites me. Then he takes it like this, just spins it around like that, and just like that crack in my arm, its neck broke.
Okay, look, sweetheart. I'm going to have you stay in the truck and step on the gas when I tell you. I'm going to get out behind, and I'm going to give it a good hard push.
Tubing, which I heat up in a forge and bend, then re-weld so it looks kind of natural, but like you were in a car wreck or something.
But I gather about 8 people, and so 9 of us are in the car. It's a 4-door sedan, so there's people on top of each other, but we were willing to go for these sandwiches, and at 8 o'clock in the evening, winter, so we go.
My mother came to me and said, I need to tell you that there's been an accident, and that my aunt had, for some strange reason, stopped the car on the railroad tracks. And the train had come through, and they had all died. But they all died together. And they didn't have to move out of their home, and my aunt was in the end of her life with cancer anyway. And I have always thought that those 4 women made a choice to be together.
This little woman who had never left Manhattan, ever. And we told her we came by bus from New Mexico. And she said, that's impossible. You had to come by ship at some point.
So Ben started out trying to find my grandfather a wife, and he set my grandfather up with a number of really ugly women, according to my grandfather, which never really worked out. And so Ben said, well, I'm one of 10 siblings, and there are still a couple of sisters of mine left. If I send for one, would you date her and maybe marry her? My grandfather was kind of desperate at this point because he was getting lonely and starting to talk to himself a lot. So he said, okay, just send for one, let's go, I want a date. So, this is something I inherited.
I haven't been here all my life. I spent 20 years in San Diego, which is about 600 miles down the coast.
And so he's sitting there and he's kind of looking down like this, and he looks up and he sees leaping like a gazelle through the crowd this white woman who stood a good foot taller than everyone else in the marketplace, leaping towards him, calling his name, Timby, Timby, it's me, Violet, and he has no idea who she is. And that's the story of how my parents